Right, we'll move on then. So, Mauisnake, what is your good?
My good is that one caster, Sadokist, has teased that he's returning, and I feel like this isn't bait. Also, I think he's actually coming back. He's been talking about coming back for a while. He's. I think like there was a podcast that someone told me about that he went on about sim racing stuff and how he went to a sim racing event and is supposed to be a caster, and then he had to be an interviewer for the event. And so I don't think he's really satisfied with his role in that sphere of his work. So if he's coming back to casting, like I'm just so excited because like I think we can safely say like, you know, Sadokist was one of the best play-by-plays ever. Mm-hmm. Like I'm not gonna put him 1, 2, or 3 or anything like that, but I think it's very easy to say that. Like he was so exciting to listen to, so many great moments casted by him, and he just brought that to another level entirely. So I'm excited if he comes back in full force. I don't know who his duo is going to be. If I had to assume somebody, I think who's the other color commentator that's available right now that, you know, just got pushed out of a role with his organization. It's Moses.
Baldhead, maybe. Yeah, there you go.
If we got Moses and Sadokist, I think that would be just such a sick duo on the circuit.
What do you think about this news, Maurice? You mean this is assuming he does come back? Obviously, we're speculating here.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to not get excited because I think it's like one of the it always sounds cringe to say it, but like one of the casting inspirations because I'm a newer guy on the block for it. Even if I'm not like a play-by-play myself, like just understanding what mechanics are behind the plays and what kind of thought process goes into making something sick is he was one of the best to ever do it. And it's actually quite funny because I think even just the talking point about like not being too satisfied with the sim racing side. I know there's somebody I used to do like smaller UK lands with that just actually started more in sim racing, but was talking about how the fact that sim racing and actual racing was kind of getting more and more parity, and sort of the audience was crossing over, that some of the traditional commentators were actually taking sim racing gigs away from the sim racing people. And so they were getting kind of pushed out or kind of shoveled aside to do secondary roles instead, when they're obviously the part of the reason that sim racing got to that point in the first place. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's part of the reason, but it would be really cool. And I think Moses is a good pair. I actually kind of had this hypothesis in my head, like maybe if Anders gets back with Moses, then if Semler gets maybe duos with Bardolph, because I know he was doing that at Flashpoint. Like maybe everybody just kind of shuffles back into a different place. But maybe the Moses moves just makes more sense.
Piece of trivia a lot of people won't know. That was actually supposed to be the original Sadokist duo, was him and Moses. But what happened was, he went, I think it's when he took this gig to go and do PGL, where you had to stay in like Romania for like 2 months or something, and that's when they had hired Henry, and they just actually put them together. I don't think there was even like a thing where they decided, so it was even one of those happenstance, like, you know, Kirby says no to Astralis, therefore they get makers, going to make them better somehow scenario. So what people don't know is it was going to be Moses always as a caster, and then, because he was sort of left out, and there wasn't anyone obvious to be a caster with, he just came on the desk with me and just took my abuse for like 3 years or whatever, and then eventually he waited till that marriage of Anders and Semler broke up, and then he was the little fucking snitch bitch, you know, guy who's she's crying on your shoulder. He's like, he never treated you well enough, baby, if you were with me, you know. And then
he did it again, huh?
Yeah, exactly. He got his way in the end. I agree though, that would be a fucking banging duo, because let's be real, like they're both just really good. They so easily flow. I even feel like, you know, I actually think they'd even be a pretty good pairing in terms of like personalities and stuff.
Yeah.
On camera, this is, of course. And by the way, I don't mind saying it. I've listened to all the commentators I've ever done, so yes, except for Yumi, apparently. But no, technically, you might have done one. Did you do one game at Flashpoint? Did you do a casting?
He did the first Cloud9 game.
There you go. Yes. Oh, the one against Virtus Pro, wasn't it?
OG. No, I did.
No, it was Virtus Pro.
I did the losers bracket game against.
Oh, you did the one with OG in the nuke game. Yes, the epic nuke game from Alexi B. Yeah. No, that's right. It was the one that actually I needed OG to win to make Semler wear that clown outfit. So, yeah, love that game. It's a great game. Love my man Alexi B. Can always rely on him, unlike other people at Flashpoint. Right. But here's the thing. I actually think Sadokist is like the GOAT play-by-play caster in CS. Like, there's other people who are very good, certainly. Like, obviously, I'm a big fan of Anders, etc. Love his personality, etc. But just like on a raw technical level, like you say, Yumi, you don't have to be actually like a play-by-play. If you've ever worked in casting or you've worked events and stuff, and you've like sort of seen what goes, how the sausage is made, as it were, you actually know that, like, he makes shit look easy that is fucking so hard. Like, I notice one thing I can always pick up on is I hate it because it's happening in League of Legends a lot right now, which is people have figured out if you want to have a really big moment, if you sort of semi-prep for it, and then it's sort of waiting in the silo and you launch it at the right time, it will sound epic because it's obviously pre-written. It's like those concepts pretend they're doing a freestyle on like radio, whereas obviously like 80% of it was written and they just freestyle the words between, you know, to connect it. But it's going to make it sound even sicker because your brain's going to, wow, did he come up with that? No, he didn't. Now, here's the thing. I can tell when they all do that in esports because even the way they deliver it, it's like they don't understand. You have to pretend you came up with it. Therefore, make it a little bit scoffed, you know, make it like understated. Don't make it so like you suddenly switch your voice and say it in a really weird way where it's so obvious you sort of prepared that. Sadokist is the best ever, no joke, for taking like lyrics from songs. Sometimes he would awkwardly take stuff like out of poems. I'm like, Matt, no one's ever even read that poem. They're not going to know the reference. Like, even if it's sick, like they're not going to, but he would take it, right? And I'm not joking. If you went and listened to how he would weave it in, you could never know that he actually came. You would genuinely think he just sort of on the spur of the moment came up with that. And then just some of his calls are just like I once tried doing this. I once tried like mentally thinking, who has the most, mate, I think he might be number one for like most memorable calls as well. He has some bonkers ones, mate. So yeah, I agree. Yeah. Oh, definitely glad that guy's coming back. Obviously there was sort of external stuff that went on in his career that did limit him to some degree, unfortunately. And then there was all the duos breaking up, Henry G went, and all the rest of this period. And as you say, initially he wanted to potentially go to sim racing because racing basically is like his first love before Counter-Strike. It's just the problem with that, and you've seen this happen a lot in esports, because I know D-Man tried this. I think maybe even Red Eye sort of hinted he wanted to do. They all wanted to do stuff like Formula One or football in the UK, etc. The problem with that is, mate, if you think it's bad doing CS where people are like, there's the three big duos, you can't get past them. There's like 4 people who do football for their entire life, mate. They're all 70 years old. So, like, the idea you're getting his job is, I don't care how many League of Legends matches you cast him in. You're not getting, like, John Motson's job, are you? Like, he could actually just be, like, half as good, and he's just too iconic. You ain't getting that gig. So, yeah, I'm glad he's back. Or at least I hope he is. And by the way, if you can't read into that, I'm not revealing any secret info, which is why I can speculate on this. I suspect when he says, like, see you soon, well, I'll tell someone a trend that if you think of the events, you'll see what I mean, which is PGL has the next major, right? And one of the things you might notice about PGL is they don't just go and hire the biggest and the marketable names. What they tend to do, because the main guy who behind all of PGL is the one who like books you and does the deals. Basically, what he does is he's such an OG guy. He has an OG way of working, which is he forms relationships with people and then he works with people he trusts and knows. So as a result, you might have seen, even when Natu was like, you know, fucking, I don't know, like leader, general manager of Ents or something, he would still sometimes do PGL events because they would hire him for like, because they would white label like, you know, the CSGO Asia Championships. They would still bring people along like that because the idea was this OG guy called Sylview from PGL, that's his way of working. So if you notice, think about who's on that list. I'm on that list. Richard, I think, might have worked some of those events. Natu, Sadokist, as I said, Sadokist and Henry G were on there. So I think actually maybe it's the major. Maybe he's hinting at that. Maybe he's got something before, but maybe there's a hint he'd be at the major. And by the way, bear in mind, we're all so blue balls to have a major anyway. And we're all hoping that if Sadokist's there as well, mate, that's how we make that shit bang. That'll be a fucking banger.
CS is back. CS is back at that point. Yeah,
exactly. Well, first major in 2 years, right? So I mean, this better fucking bang.
Yes, indeed. Want to see more cool, funny, interesting clips based on topics from my content? Well, subscribe to this channel then, or, you know, be a pleb and don't.